I don't know about you, but in this last year, it does feel to me, it's been 1 year, but it feels like I've aged 5 years in the last year. How about
Yes.
you?
Yes. I think, oh my God, I'm walking like an old lady. I see wrinkles.
Well, you're not the only one. It seems like, according to a new survey, lots of people feel exactly the same way. We're going to talk about that today on Older and Wiser. I'm Bob Bates in Los Angeles. Joining me once again, Susan Sikora up there in Northern California, feeling older than she looks. I will say. You look
But
great today.
wiser.
Hey, older but wiser.
Yeah.
According to this
Well,
news survey from the Harris poll, more than half of Americans, 55%, think their body's biological age has aged faster in the last year than in years previous.
mhm.
I totally get it.
Yeah,
I think it's because we're sitting around. We're not getting any exercise.
that's one. And also, if you're bored, I mean, how many games of Scrabble if you live with somebody, or games of solitaire if you don't, or reruns of Everybody Loves Raymond that you can you watch. I mean, seriously. But you know what? You're
But
sitting when you're
you are
reading.
sitting, and it does
That's the
give you the
reading is
feeling
fattening.
of what old people do. They sit, they read, they watch Everybody Loves Raymond. And no wonder we sort of identify with those old folks because that's what we've
Identify.
been doing. We've been doing the thing that old people do for the
Yeah.
last year. Nearly
We're checking
half,
all the boxes.
46% of Americans say they had more aches and pains in the last year than in previous
Yes.
years,
You know
too.
why?
Why?
Because they're sitting.
Yeah, you think that's
That's
it?
it. I think that's a lot of it. It's
Is
not.
worry does worry make you feel physically bad? I wonder because I there's certainly
Worry.
been a lot of worry about our health, about and we're very conscious of symptoms. So are we
Yes.
more because of the COVID pandemic? We're worried about am I getting it? Should I see a doctor? I can't go to the doctor. So maybe those aches and pains are not real, but just a concern that we're having. What do you think?
When I finally I did keep my doctor's appointment in December at that point, with the dermatologist. And she said, I said, I feel like every week there's a different ailment I'm imagining. And she said, yeah, yeah, she said, everybody's going through. So she must be hearing this all day long. I think that's true. My remedy for that, once again, bag of potato chips. It's really good. Notice it's
That's
a
one of the
bag,
problems.
not a portion.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a problem too. I mean, that creates another problem, but at least it gets rid of the
I
stress.
will say I'm starting to feel better now physically. And during the pandemic, I would take walks, but they would kind of wear me out. I'd be like, this isn't fun. Now
Hmm.
I'm walking fast. I'm walking, some distance, and it's easier. And maybe it's the weather. The sun is out, and the weather's better. I don't know,
And you're
but
vaccinated.
and I'm vaccinated, and I can breathe. I don't have a mask on. I think wearing a mask all day or for any amount of time can make you feel sick and old and scared and nervous, and it's no wonder we feel like a year of that would wear us out. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's true, and I think you have too much time to focus on these things, and it marinates.
Yeah, it really does. Okay, so let's our next topic. I came across this item. This was from Michigan State University.
Yeah.
Apparently, there was a study of 1,000 Michigan adults, and it found that 1 in 4 had opted not to have kids. This is not surprising. That's a
Oh, yeah, that was
probably,
interesting.
yeah, it's probably about the national average. I'm not sure. But here's what I found to be very interesting. They did an in-depth study of life satisfaction, and according to this, the life satisfaction ratings were no different for those people who had children or wanted to have children, and people who had decided not to have kids. We breeders, we feel like that's the only way to go, and that if you don't have kids, you're not going to be happy. But I think what we're seeing here is that's all wrong. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I don't have kids, so none of this surprises me. I still think it's interesting that in a survey, like all surveys, every now and then they're hypothetical and they say, are you happier with or without kids? And I'm thinking, I really don't know. I don't have kids.
You and Skip did not have kids.
No.
Um, did you feel through the years there was a judgment of you, sort of an unspoken awe, or isn't that weird, or why not, and that kind of stuff? Or did you feel you had to answer for yourself?
Not really. I have to tell you, my in-laws never asked about it. I don't think they brought it up with Skip. My parents never asked. I was lucky that way, and I think my close friends understood. Well, one of the things they knew, and this was one of the problems. There are two things that were a factor here. You got to think about what it costs to have a child,
Yep.
and if you're going to bring somebody into the world, you've got to be able to care for that person. Not, oh, won't it be cute to have a baby, and then, oh gosh, the kid needs shoes.
Well, I'll tell
and
you,
also, yeah.
I've got one daughter who is not that interested in having kids.
Right.
And, I think that's kind of a modern way to look at it. As a father, I kind of love to see some grandkids there, but it's, I think this world we live in, if I were in my mid 20s or early 30s right now in this time in history, I'd kind of wonder if I want to bring kids into the world. We've got climate change. We've got a terrible political situation. The world seems fairly unstable. And, I don't know. I guess you could look at it like, am I bringing these humans into the world to live in a place that's going to be really awful?
Look at real estate alone. Did you buy your house before you had your kids or after?
After.
Okay. But you were able to do it. And in this day and age, I think you have to probably know that that's going to be not that everybody has to have a house in order to have children, but if you rent and the rents go up or something changes or a job goes, then you got to keep moving around. And
right.
I think
it's much harder these days for people starting out to get into a home. That's absolutely true.
It's also harder on the children, I think.
Yeah.
I really believe in many ways that being a parent is a calling, a vocation. Okay. It's a passion.
Yeah.
And I think people just, well, if I can reproduce, I will, because that's what you do now. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Are you suited for the job?
Right.
Do you have the talent? Do you have the patience? I don't understand people who have a lot of kids. I mean, to me, if I had more
you're
than
right.
three,
I never understood
which
that.
one are you again?
I know. That never made sense to me. That never
don't
made
get
sense.
it.
It was almost as though someone had seen an episode of The Waltons and thought, "Oh, I want that kind of."
Yeah, get the form and everything first, and have somebody give you that.
Meanwhile, think of all the lives that you're affecting by that decision to continue to reproduce over and over.
If you're going to have 7 or 8 kids, how much time are you going to have for each child?
In 2020, the U.S. recorded its lowest birth rate since 1979. I don't know what this is about, but it's either a fear of tomorrow, it could be a financial concern, it could be some weird medical glitch. I don't know, but for some reason, it was the lowest birth rate since 1979 last year. What is going on?
I think it's a plethora, if you will, of reasons. And I think people who are, and younger people are more concerned about the environment. Can they breathe the air? Can they drink the water?
Right.
Yes,
thanks to Amy Norton at UPI for that story. Okay. So our next item, let me see if I can find this. This is, do you know what Bumble is, Susan?
Yeah, it's a dating site, isn't it?
Very good. Are you on Bumble?
No. No.
Bumble, okay, just for those who don't know, Bumble is a dating app where women make the first move. I'm not quite sure how that works, but I guess men put their profiles on there and then women get to choose you and then you can respond. It would be my guess. I'm assuming that's how that works. According to this item from Fast Company, there's been a new survey. Bumble did a new survey recently in which it said that 90%, even with COVID, 90% of the people on the app say they really want to date face to face, and not over like what we're doing here with a video call.
Right.
Surprising that people are willing to brave the fear of COVID in order to meet someone face to face.
Well, you said it's a preference. In other words, that's what they would do if they could. I think a lot of people maybe put I would assume they put dating on hold. If I were younger and out there and dating and wanted, if I were looking for that, even if I weren't younger, but let's say I was looking, shopping, I would want to, it face to face is always different.
Yeah. 46% of people said they would be very comfortable with a regular first date face to face. And but 41% said they'd like to do that, but they'd like to keep it socially distanced. So I suppose that means let's meet up in the park and we'll sit on opposite ends of a park bench.
Yeah, this is going to be a real platonic situation because you really can't get intimate socially distanced.
Well, you can look each other over, I suppose, and get a good
Yeah.
idea of what you're in
Well,
for, and
that
then
may be
work
better.
out the details about
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
30% said they would not date or have sex with an unvaccinated person.
If I were in those groups or that group that was looking and looking for those things, I would agree.
Vaccination is
First
a
thing,
must.
are you vaccinated? If you're not, we're not even meeting for coffee.
It is interesting because, and I figured this would be coming along, apparently Bumble and other dating services, including Match, you've heard of that, Match.com, and Tinder, that's the one where you swipe left and right. They are rolling out what are called vaccination badges. So if you're
I heard about
vaccinated, you get a little logo on your app so that you can see that the person that you're meeting has or has not been vaccinated.
Question. Do you have to prove you're vaccinated to buy the pin?
Wouldn't think so. Wouldn't think.
Yeah,
you'd
well,
have
see,
to.
there you go. Send me 10. I'll give them out to my friends, and then you can go out and date and do what you want. No.
Back to the Bumble survey again. 65% of these people think it's possible to fall in love without meeting someone in person. Do you think that's possible? Do you think you could fall in love with someone over
Without meeting in
texting
person?
or over
No.
over a video call? No.
No. And I don't text because I still have a flip phone, or as my friend Vivian calls it, my Fisher Price phone.
We're working on
And
that though, aren't we?
We're working
gonna
on
see
that.
if we
Yes,
can't get
I'm
you out
going
of
to
that.
make the leap. So anyway, I just don't want to pay, what would be a down payment on a house for a phone.
No,
I'm being
understood.
facetious, but you get it.
So you don't
anyway.
think you can fall in love over the internet?
No.
91% say there is no longer a stigma attached to online dating. Do you believe that's true?
I mean,
do you think it's creepy if a friend of yours said, "Oh, I'm on Tinder and I'm looking for a man"? What would your feeling be?
If she
about
were
that?
a woman of a certain age, my age or older, women know one thing, that a lot of older men who are single are looking for either, you've probably heard this, a nurse or a purse.
Interesting. A
So
nurse or
I
a
would
purse.
say to women who are older, if you're really confident about somebody and you meet him, fine, be very careful. But if he's the second thing he says to you is, could you lend me some money? Bye-bye.
Be careful there. 38% prefer to go on virtual dates with people before meeting them in person. I think that's interesting. And I think if I was in that situation, I would do that as well. I would say, let's do it virtually first and we'll check each other out and then I'll see you in person.
I think this is useful for having a conversation and seeing what we have in common, what we're interested in, that kind of thing. And if it turns out, boy, I couldn't wait to get out of that. That's the end of it.
Save yourself
And
the
move
drive.
on.
Save
Swipe
yourself
left or right or whatever it is.
the cost of the dinner or the drinks. Just say, let's do a Zoom call real quick and see if we
And
if
if
we
it
hit
doesn't
it
work,
off.
buy and swipe.
Okay, moving on to our next item from thecareexpert.co.uk. Came across this item, just sort of interesting because I remember the days when I used to drive back and forth to college from Indiana to Florida. Long drives, I'd often be tired, and I would be tempted to snooze. According to this survey, 10% of all motorists admit they have actually fallen asleep while driving.
Yeah.
I'll have to admit, it has happened to me. I didn't veer off the road, but I did close my eyes while driving and woke up going, whoa, like that. Have you ever done that?
Not while I was driving. Actually, I was in the car. I was at a red light, and it was a long one. And I was almost home. And I noticed I started nodding off. I thought, oh my gosh, if I ever feel the slightest bit tired, you know what I keep in the car? I know there's people go, oh, pull over for coffee or pull over for this or what. Chewing gum.
Oh, does that help?
And you can open the window if
You
it's
can open the
cold. If it's
window.
cold, you can open the window. But chewing gum, it gives you're doing something.
I tried. When the time this happened to me, I tried everything. I had the windows down. I had the music blaring, and that worked for a little while. But then I consciously remember thinking, oh, I'm fine. I'm just going to rest my eyes for just a second, and then I'll wake up and I'll feel refreshed.
No.
This went through my head. What is wrong with someone who thinks that?
Yeah, no, you can't, because you
Of
drift
course.
off and goodbye.
According to this,
Just off the road.
And this is some great calculation here. When you're driving 70 miles per hour, your car travels 100 feet every second.
That's right.
So
the car doesn't go to sleep.
They've got those rumble strips along the side of the road that help sometimes,
Yeah.
where you start to go off the edge and you go, brrr. You've heard that? You ever done that?
Yeah. No, I mean, sometimes I veered over there unintentionally, or, got a little too close to it or something, but no, really not.
I don't know. Anyway, I just thought that was an interesting statistic and something worth bringing up. Here's another one from drgnews.com. Not a big survey, but just kind of funny. From Green Giant, the people who make the canned vegetables.
Yeah, Green Giant. That tells you something right there. Go ahead.
According to this, Green Giant's annual favorite veggie survey, they polled 5,000 people. Imagine being polled for your favorite vegetable.
They're scraping here.
They are scraping the bottom of the barrel, but according to this, broccoli, once again, comes out as the number one favorite vegetable of America. What do you think about that? Do you enjoy broccoli? And do you
I have no strong opinions on this survey. I like broccoli. I wouldn't sit here and eat broccoli. If I had the potato chips or the broccoli, guess what? Broccoli staying in the fridge. I like broccoli. I put it in with pasta. I steam it on the top, put it with pasta, so I get my greens in that way. I don't think I'd sit there and chomp on a bag of broccoli. I mean, I
like broccoli. I like raw broccoli dipped in ranch dressing. I can eat that all day.
Oh, there's the magic word.
I can. I like steamed broccoli with butter and salt.
Yeah.
That's great. I always liked that even as a kid. So yeah, broccoli. I'm right in there with broccoli. Now this is interesting. According to this, corn is the favorite vegetable among people our age, 55 to 72. People love corn. What's up with that?
On the cob.
Well, I would suggest that if the survey is from Green Giant, we're talking canned corn.
No.
Just saying.
No.
Here's something that's kind of interesting. From between 2019 and 2021, the number of states selecting carrots as the favorite vegetable increased by 500%. Why would that be? Why would we suddenly start liking carrots?
I think that, well, first of all, I think most kids like carrots. So maybe it goes back to childhood.
Maybe, but there's suddenly a change. Everyone's into them now for some reason.
And people are probably growing them. Remember, did you ever grow carrots?
No. The carrots that I get, though, are the kind in the bag that are all trimmed up and like about this long.
I
and
know.
you can munch them.
Lazy man's carrots, right?
Yeah, lazy man's carrots.
I got tired of carrots. I grew carrots as a kid because they're like the easiest thing. If you tell a kid, put some seeds in, you'll get a carrot and it won't be like...
Right, they grow real easy, don't they? Yeah,
they grow easy, they grow quickly, and there's nothing like a carrot, that you grew because it's sweet and everything else. It hasn't been on a trip.
Yeah.
I got tired of carrots. They're okay. I like them raw. I don't like them. I've never really loved them cooked. When I was a kid, maybe. But that's if it was next to asparagus, which I still hate to this day.
Finally, you're a teacher. You'll love this one. Somebody at the Telegraph put together a list of some of the most irritating mispronounced words and did a little survey to see what people thought. There, three came out on top. Number one, people who say pacifically instead of specifically. Have you ever heard that used?
Yes.
You have. You've heard people say pacifically.
Specifically.
People who say the word probably instead of probably. Mm-hmm. But I always say probably.
I'm going to give you my theory on all of this. It's simple. But
doesn't bother me. That one doesn't bother me too much. Another one was specially instead of especially. Does that bother you?
Yeah. They all do.
Arctic instead of Arctic. Mm-hmm. Does that get you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when George W. Bush used to say
nuclear. That drove me up the wall.
Because that isn't just an abbreviation of lettering; it's adding an extra syllable that's not.
But
even
I've heard other politicians of both parties do the same. Not often, but
Yes.
I've heard it.
We pick things up from people that we know. You know, if your mom said it this way, you're going to say it this way.
My mom didn't.
If your friends say a certain word a certain way, you're going to pick that up, and it's going to be very hard to let go of. My sister had a hard time letting go of library. You know,
Library is another one.
yeah. According to this survey, 35% of people cannot resist correcting their friends and family. I do resist. I think it's not a good idea to correct people unless it's you're a parent and you want to teach your child so that they don't go
Or
on
if you're
and
a teacher in a classroom, you got to tell the kids.
Yeah, only 10% are happy to tell a stranger when they've mispronounced a word. Never tell a stranger that they've mispronounced a word. It just there's no upside to that at all. No. Most people are
especially if you're arguing.
Especially
they'll really hate you. They
But
won't hear anything you say because they think, they don't even like the way I speak.
Yeah, once you say you mispronounce something. The one word that I always was annoyed by, and I looked it up recently, and I found out that it can be pronounced both ways, and that is often. A lot of people say often, and I go, you don't have to say the T.
Right.
But it's proper either way. So
there was also the other one is I used to say controversial. I use them interchangeably. I use controversial more.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah. So you prefer controversial to controversial. You lived in the Caribbean. Is it the Caribbean or the Caribbean?
Oh, see, that's interesting. I used to say Caribbean, and then when I lived down there, I said Caribbean.
Interesting. So that's what the people down there say. Yeah.
That's right.
I lived in Louisville, Kentucky for a long time.
Louisville.
And
Louisville.
The people who live there say it's Louisville.
Louisville.
And it's not Louisville.
Okay. It's not New Orleans. It's New Orleans.
New Orleans. Yeah.
New Orleans.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of that is local accent probably more than real pronunciation.
Yeah. And you get colloquialisms in there too, but we won't go down that road.
Yeah. Well, it's time for us to say so long. Did I pronounce that correctly? So long. See
so
ya.
Long.
Later.
See ya. Okay.
We're glad you joined us today for Older and Wiser. For all the stuff that matters when you're 50 plus, visit us at olderandwiser.com. Susan, thank you for doing this again.
Hey, fun.
We'll see you in a couple weeks. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.